Good morning, hey, O'Brien. Are you listening to this? Yeah, Scott O'Brien with the T. All right. Vito Lux. Hold up. Scott O'Brien with the T. Oh yeah. Vito Lux. Jose, Lupe, Nando, and everybody else. Coco on guitar. George. My dark half, little Eminem and Julia. Tune up to Richard Holleran had a secret he kept hidden deep within his heart, pumping to the rhythm of his mind. He felt guilty of his actions. Richard felt the need to confess to someone. Music became the force pushing him towards the edge. Richard always felt like such the outcast. If you saw him in a bus, you couldn't help but wonder why he appeared to be so damn weird. Excuse my language, but it was real. Richard told no one of the way he felt, but he always remembered these feelings to be self-consuming. Richard used to be afraid of fear, but fear became his constant companion. Now his mind was only riveting away, for he wasn't thinking about it right now, but sure enough, he was going to think of it again. This was the summer solstice where the darkness came and then it left, only to lead him to believe that he was better now, but it was only for a time being, because when winter came around, the darkness would recede, only to return again like the waves on the ocean shore. And you know, life is just a beach, so the water might fall, but I don't spill a drink. These feelings began on April 28, 1992, when he was only a child. The last memory he had was something so recollective to the day now that will only resemble a faint recollection of the memory he once had, whatever that means. In the mind of Richard Holleran, there was always an ongoing conversation that will resemble and lead him to think, wait, who am I? What am I here to do? And why am I the way that I am? I mean, am I bad or am I good? I mean, he couldn't decide. And to further analyze his own mind, he would critique and analytically write and feedback to the moment in which he would ask himself questions that would never end and will repeat all over again, like, what's the definition of a bad person? And the answer to that question wasn't ever in his mind. You see, something was calling him that was outside in the world, driven by the fact that he couldn't motivate his own inspirations to become the one he aspired to be. In the mind, he cultivated a seed that was according to the genetic, and the genetic was only a hybrid of the initial thought in his mind. This was the inception, the thought behind the root of it all. And the feelings of claustrophobia externalized with only himself. As he was in a room, he felt like he was imprisoned in a cell in which he was trapped in there, but he never bothered to look inside his right pocket. If he so did, he would find that the key to the lock was right there all along. I mean, he never really had the chance, but he took every moment he had and made an outcome of it, as he now became involved in the direct intrusions within the mind as he interrupted his own self to only write down in a short diary a full extent composition notebook confession of the acts he so gruesomely committed. Richard left the keys on the counter. He didn't need to go drive around town or go around, so he went out back in his backyard. He felt like he could leave these thoughts in the back of his mind, looking at the bikes right there on the side. Now, these bikes were flat, so they didn't have air on the tires, so there was no point in him picking one up and trying to ride the bike around town, so the keys on the counter didn't matter at all. To him, this was a forgotten memory of a recollection of a day that was given without effect, in order to do a new distraction in which he can only self-destruct. The sayings of the wicked were now embarked deep within his mind. Now, patience notes continue, and let me be analytical and let me analyze this right now as I narrate this story to you. If you feel like you're reading this and you're actually listening to the voice inside of your head, let me tell you that that is not your voice, for that is only my voice, in a form in which it can shape, shift, form, and take any tone in which tonality, which now may sound like your voice, but it's really my voice. But if you hear this and you're listening to this, then it actually is my voice that you're hearing right now. Now, if you hear yourself think of something, then that right there is your voice. Make sure you know the difference between what you hear and what you know is your own. Now, wait, my very own mind could not ponder the fact that I couldn't wonder the belief of this non-fictional story to become horror in a way that was gruesome in order for me to be true to me in the sense of it all. Let me tell you that I want to introduce you into the mind behind the creature you now have created an image of, and that creature is the monster as Richard Holleran knew, but you weren't thinking of him like that because he only became to be so after you found out what was really hidden within his heart, that secret he held ever so close. The lights were on, but no one was home. I mean, you couldn't help but wonder why he wouldn't find a way out of this hole that he had dug. I mean, I thought we were digging my grave, he heard for a second. Now the voice in his head told him, we were, Richard, we were. I mean, last name Holleran, first name Richard, and what we were doing, we were digging our grave. I mean, we tried to commit suicide and bury us alive, but who would cover us with the dirt at the end of the day when we were right there in the pit 6 feet below in a coffin that didn't have a lock but had a key? I mean, what was the key for? You see, this type of story don't make sense in the end. But I don't story tell, you see, I only write. And me being a writer, I encourage you to read. And this was difficult for me to tell, but easy for you to hear. And easy reading is a product of hard writing. So it really took some effort of my part to really cultivate the story in a way that I can plant a seed that which would form a mantra that you can never forget. Are you familiar with the term mantra? Well, making up definitions in the mind is something I have normally been accustomed of doing, but this is how it normally goes. What's your definition of a mantra? Okay, Richard Holleran couldn't think of that matter. He really couldn't think in that formal way. I mean, he really couldn't conversate with the ongoing voice that was inside of his head. He would normally listen to the orders and then obey. He felt the voices in his head were telling him, all right, who you gonna kill? Who you gonna burn? Who you gonna stick your knife into this time? Now, hold up, wait. We got away with it a couple times before, but that's only because you listened to me. Now, if you think you can get rid of your main attraction, look into the mirror. Look, you're still there. I'm still me. You haven't died yet, but here's something that you can dissect. Hold up, wait, and this is me on the rise, and it might be a little hard for you to digest, but I'll be with you until you die yet. You hear me, Richard Holleran, the voice inside of his head said. So Richard came to me. You see, this became an interview with the interviewee, and I guess I learned about the personal struggles that Richard Holleran, underneath an umbrella. I am covered from the rain, and it's a mind storm out there, let it rain, and I'm just like you in the rain. I still get dry in the sun, I still get hot in the summer, I still feel cold in the winter, I still feel like I'm feeling the same when I'm not in all essence of the matter, in the worm of it all, when the worm crawls away from a bird. I mean, let me just cultivate everything before I harvest the fruit. If I told you that a flower can bloom in the darkness right here in the room, in the garage, you have known, for in the fact of the matter was that he didn't live in a room of his mind. He lived in a room that was filled with the darkness and the webs that he weaved, and there were 4 spiders who were beginning to crawl around in a circle and beginning to form a ritual to bring forth something that was sleeping ever so dormant, that no one should ever so bother to bring back to life, but they were practicing that ritual as we live and speak. Now, he didn't need to sleep because he felt the fear that he felt if he closed his eyes. He felt as if the impending doom would be ever so pressing against his chest like an elephant was standing on top of him. You know what that feels like? The elephant was invisible, of course, and he was not in the middle of the room. room. He was standing on top of Richard Holleran as he lay on his bed. Now he managed to get some sleep. When he woke up on the ceiling looking down at the bed. And he was like, what? From the top looking down, from the inside, it looked like the outside was a hurricane of a storm filled with a tornado coming around, and the earth began to shake. But that was because somebody was moving the book that was hidden right there in the page. As I turn the page, I continue to read. As I tell you the truth, you are listening. As I am embedding you in this story of mine, you are beginning to hear everything going back in the moment right here. If they got ears, let them hear. Unless they don't want to hear, then I guess they can close their ears and close their mind, but begin to wonder. You don't need to see to believe. Richard, I didn't write this so you can just ignore it. Go around and turn the page and read another book and close it. I mean, if I'm the voice inside your head, then I need you to listen to me. If I have something to say, then that means it's important to me. If I relate to you a correlation of events that will continue to transpire in the way that you translate your emotions and convey the feelings of whatever you want to say into words, then I want you to write that stuff down right there right away. Hold up, wait. Stop listening to all this music and write down what I am telling you right now to the date, and make sure that this conversation don't get into the public domain. This is top secret information, only to kept private for a confident, constant reader. If you ever need a person to listen to, I mean, I am here to listen to you. We can be friends if you can look upon and look past our differences. I know that we had some problems before, and I know I'm a little bit controlling, but you got to learn to live with that. I mean, yeah, I've told you to shut up, but that was because you were speaking too much. Now, get that hat, put it on your head, turn it back, now turn it right back again. Now, put it right there on the tip of your head and top it off and leave it upside down right there on the counter. And if you do that, then I'll really know that you listen to me. You must prove yourself Richard Holleran if you're willing to listen to the voice that is echoing within the walls of your head. And that voice is I, as I continue to relate to you what is best for you. And you don't want something bad to happen to you, right, Richard? Richard and the voice inside his head obviously conversated, and judging by the look on Richard's face, did they make me feel sad, I guess? In a way, Richard said, of course they made me feel sad, considering the world we live in. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I am never ashamed. What I do, that's final. I never look back as that type of thing. Did I attend the funerals of any of them? Of course not. I find funerals very grim and depressing. Also, I don't believe babies are ensouled into that way. I'm just embedded in this wild dream of a fantasy in which I fabricated. Now, no, I never cried. Was I sorry? I guess that's a philosophical question, isn't it? What is that, a word that is a little hard for you to say? Richard, the voice inside his mind said, continue. Of course, I understand the question. I understand all your questions. I know you're all out to get me. If the voice inside his head would have insisted on terrifying his own behalf at this place and thought, this would probably mean that he would have a shot. Oh wait, shut up, Richard, it said. And on December 13, 1982, there was a starting picture from a movie in which he could not forget, and it was Misery. A caption below, have I asked, not the dragon form in which a conversation we are now occurring to. These are flames reading as you read calmly as it waits for you. And now then, on December 16th, the headlines became, I am innocent in the body of a story in which I have quoted. You have now identified the murderer to be Richard Holleran. I had very grave doubts of the existence of this innocence. Yes, unfortunately, I had very reasonable doubts as to my guilt. I hope I will be tried again in one order or the other courts. Perhaps the prosecution can make a stronger case of those. But if it so happens that don't occur, then that'll be all right with me. I mean, it's preparable to begin, and I began, and I said in a calmly but terrifying pain voice, I think you better wait, please. Richard picked up the telephone and shouted, what do you want? And the voice inside his head said, beep, 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 excuse my language, just for the F do you want, I mean. Little Eminem, I'm going back and rearranging this, and the day just came to pass. And the night was there, and it haunted him as it froze him just as he was preparing to take another bite of his banana. The voice inside his head snapped around and found himself wishing he was miserably intensely. Finally, instead of talking to himself in the way that he always did, Richard didn't believe that this was either the voice inside of his head either, as it, at least not yet, but paranoia was building its way into his human mind at least. He supposed that there were other minds speak, and these were mice around his room, in which now became furthermore a series of doubts in which whether or not they knew he was there, and they were there with him, but he felt like he was being victimized. It's him, the voice inside of his head said. Oh, yes, now it's said, and the other fearless minions of this exchange, the utterly non-pleasing glance. What the F do you want to do now? I mean, the voice inside of his head said, I want to be heard, and I saw these things, and this was separate from them. You must separate from them, Richard Holleran. There were only this and you now, and this is what I became, a monster of a wage. I'm running this, and someone let me out of the cage, and I'm hungry now with an appetite for more, and I'm full of myself together again for the first time. As the old announcers used to say, cool down, the voice inside of his head said. He sounded amused. No need to get this all in a bunch. I mean, the voice had expected this exactly. Very a nuisance. I mean, right down to the faint slur of the Saturn going back to the north, and I'm headed to the top into something that was not really get you. When I'm rearranging this, and I wrote like a script though, and I guess you can call it now. Rearranging the heads and this is together briefly. I'm North Dakota, the panel, the truck, and the auxiliary telephone was ringing out of his holster. I'm looking like this is a gun, and I'm still holding it like a banana. Slip on a peel, and the cellar stairs to check on the voice-activated tape recorder. Let me see, am I recording? Oh yeah, the red light is blinking. I'm recording this. So it's not just happening in my mind, and the fearless meaning of the mind eye, as he stood there in the middle of the room, stared. They looked at it as if they wanted to put their arms around each other for the comfort, like, you know, someone lost in the woods, his reflection and himself. You see, it was Richard talking to his own reflection of a ghost. What do you want? The voice inside of his head repeated in a voice. Why, just tell me that. I need you to tell me that it's over. It said, I got the last one this noontime, and this was just a use to this accounting department. I'm going back to the mine, and this is in bed. I pick up the beat with a recorder, rearranging this is little, North Dakota, thinking of an alias to give them. Richard, now I got them thinking. As I pull you into this world of my own, you see ripples on the pond, but this is no pond, this is the mirror glass, as it shatters right before your eyes. Now the curse is broken, now the reflection can escape and go into the world in which it is now experiencing this reality, and this is now, I'm bound to wait, I'm about to take them to a whole nother domain, and this is open up the key, unlock into your imagination of flow, and let's see what we can fabricate. I mean, this is fiction in the mind of the believer, and I had to let you go. The listener is probably listening to this and thinking, hold away, this sounds like a story deep embedded in the minds, or something out of the darkness, give me the power in which, hold away, now this is not a joke, but this is stuff I used to write when I was bored. Now I guess I'm going back in this, and hold away, when did you begin to rhyme all over this again? I know, damn, I don't know, but now that I know that this is, wait, I need the antidote, this is contagious, and I caught the sickness again, and this is down with the sickness, let the bodies hit the floor. Turn up the radio. The voice inside of it said, I love this song. And Richard was like, what the heck? I've never heard you say this type of stuff before. Now Richard Holleran thought if I killed him in the living room, now would it still be in living room? I know, hold the weight. And from across the street there was a baby on a stroller being pushed by a mother who was naturally ever so beautiful. I mean, the essence of her was like a fruit in a bloom. I mean, a rose that could bloom. I mean, something from the weight I couldn't tell you, but my thoughts were coming soon. Ever so I was thinking late, hold the weight. Richard Holleran, think me later, but sooner is later than early. No, wait, early is better than never. No, early is better than late. Late is better than never, but early is better, right? Yeah, whatever you want to say. This began to sound something of a tongue twister. Was it a riddle or something I couldn't quite figure out? But I guess I figured out that I couldn't figure out what I couldn't figure out. And you would look at me and think, hold the wait, he was just gonna go figure that out. But I guess you're gonna go figure it, and I guess you never figure it out. But I guess life is like a merry-go-round, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I like space, I don't fit in a crowd. I mean, I'm just being myself, and I kinda like it now. I'm not gonna stop. I'm high off the story, I'm not coming down, but I land soft on the natural high. This is sugar, all I speak is ruckus. Now, mercy with me when you put the creamer on the cup. This is more coffee than black. Now the coffee is threatening to spill over the top. Wait, hold on to your mug now. I got a cup of your time, but I won't waste it. Hold up, wait, yeah, I got a cup in my hand right now. You know the buzz is coming. Yeah, big steps in this way. I'm turning mad Hulk. Now the Hulk is running. I hold away. My thoughts are funny. I feel like I'm onto something. Wait, they laughing and tell me I'll never get out. Woke up in a mind, where am I at? Woke up in a book, where am I at? I fell asleep just to be in a dreaming land. I couldn't escape from this reality in which now life became a dream within a dream, and this is a false awakening in which I have not figured out why I couldn't wake up. Wake up, Richard Holleran. He found himself telling himself, don't listen to the voice that is leading you there into the darkness, into the darkness, into the occult. Now you know how difficult it is to find your way back home. The secret that was pumping deep within his mind. I mean, now this is the circle at last, and this is how my story finishes. I had to think of an ending. Now my ending just came to be, and it just happened to be so that this fictional character inside of a book became real in a form of matter that I've met him before. Now, I felt like strangers are strange, but I keep rearranging this. I'm going back into mine. I gotta keep my thoughts ordained. I'm really organized, but you would think I'm shy because I'm just a little bit peculiar. I'm like a little bit off in the mind, but this is on key, off beat. I don't need a melody for me to go rhythm again when I listen to my heart pump, pump, pump. And this is the secret that he couldn't confess to anybody but me. Wait, information is not something you get from me. The end. This audiobook recording is in the public domain. By little Julian M. Fortuna. Dark Minds. All rights reserved. Copy infringement. Privacy warning. FBI. 23 hours later, the story ends on the number 24. Fiend. Coming soon. Part 2. Which would be something along the lines of, this audiobook recording is in the public domain. This is what came to be after Richard Holleran came to an end, and this was before everything finally came to a totality, embedded in the mind in which this only began, according to its genetics by Little MNF and Juliet, read by the author, Dark Minds Publishing Company, and this is in the public domain. Rearranging this audiobook recording is going back. Are you listening? Mic check. Hold up, turn it up. I don't think I hear myself. Oh yeah, I do. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, now, wait. Skip the introduction, chapter 1, the shadow before. Melodies embedded in the mind. BNA and G back on my knee. Sarah Summerlin knew exactly who Richard Holleran was because she was the female version of him. In other words, both drifted apart after calling it quits, but they never gave up on love. Richard knew nothing of what came to be after she left him, and the door shut forevermore. Yeah, she left because he provoked her to that point in which she felt without any other option, given the circumstances they were so close to the edge. It was a miracle they never fell off. If she had the time now to think back, only to reminisce, she only filled her head with the good memories they had. North Dakota, Frank, Little MNF and Juliet, capital F. In the picture now with Tuna tuning up to this. Now turn around, your turn up isn't working now. I guess I'm going back. Turn down for what I heard them say in another memory of a track. This is Donuts in the parking lot, we're listening to that. Thank you for the venom. Sure, in the true essence of the reality, I couldn't formulate a plot, whether or not, given the fact that I could describe it if I saw it in the mind. Walking into the house, I mean, without the door left open, I could have left it ajar by all means. What's up? I mean, it's just me again. Is that you are the version of me that I used to know? I'm related to that. I mean, this is like currently being like the point of ponder in which I couldn't question myself, but given to the reality of a doubt. This is fictional, right? I mean, my story was different. They should be afraid to look when they open the book. They should see that the book is ice. I mean, I collected these stories to open up a mind that was closed by wonder, but open to belief, only to find a key in the lock. Unrelated to the inevitability of the irrational circumstances that circulate in which I didn't have a plot because my story wasn't going anywhere with this. Because how could it end just like that? Richard Holleran looking out the window as he thought to himself, wait, I'm in the mind of this again, and should I choose to have a mind open by wonder or a mind closed by belief? I mean, I believe that nothing can close my mind once it's been opened like Pandora's box, and now I opened it to the possibility of which I seem to find a place in which reality is as thin as ice on a riverbed of lake. I'm walking on the surface, but any moment now, this ground that I walk upon can shatter, leaving me to my doom, in which I may fall in the water as cold as ice, only to suffer from the cold reality of it all. My feet on the ground, but I'm sliding because this is ice, walking up above this riverbed of the surface that seems to be frozen as ice, but as solid can be. But little did I know that a weakness point in which the slightest impact of the pressure my boot made upon the ice could shatter everything that was below my feet. So I'm walking on a foundation. How strong is this foundation in the back of my mind? Are the gears really moving, or are the gears moving something that will start and combine, in which will make up the machinery, start the machine again? But the key in the engine, the motor is on. I'm thinking again. Flip the channel. Upside Down TV is only relating the fact that I know what I know, and this has been announced to me that if you're listening to this, then I guess I have managed to keep your attention on a hold. And I wish don't push you to the edge, but I wish I don't wait. I don't wish, and I don't wish. Wait, my grammar errors are analytically correct, and this is slip of the tongue because I'm not writing this. If I were to be writing this behind the desk, it would be a slip of the pen. Common mistake. But I'm thinking that this is something for the listener now. If I have your ears full of attention and your drums are eardrums, and now wait, you are well into this. Just know that I started melodically, and this is a rhythm art rearranging this art, the rearranging orthodox rhythm that wasn't related to this. Now you might get the tempo and wait in a moment that this was a point to ponder what I'm telling you about arranging this, going, and I guess you can absorb this if this is in your elementary canal. But when Did you look at the food on the plate and look at it as if it was something for you to eat and really satisfy your starving feelings of doubt? Because if you doubt that this is not appetizing for the reader's mind, then how can you really digest this now when you know that your inner rearranging this? Although, wait, and now this is the last time I'll say that for you. Let me see. How can I rephrase this? What do I really want to say? Your digestive system, your small intestine and your large intestine are both very long. If you open up your stomach and you pull them out, let's say I'm in one end of the room and I stretch out my small intestine, it will be approximately 20 feet. And furthermore, on this will be on the appendix X of this recording. Now, this thought will be on an indefinite hiatus until I continue it to be non-stop, keeping going with this with a soft rap that came up to the door. Who could it be? I mean, I couldn't think of this as a way this was surprising for even for me. So now let's see who we add into the picture. Let's see who we bring into this picture that was ever so familiar to me. Vicky Solomon, I mean, she was already dead, but we can say that this was back in the year when she was still alive and full and enjoying the moments in time. How could she be connected to Richard Halloran? I mean, maybe she was friends with, what was her name? Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. What's her face? Yeah, but I guess I wouldn't say her name here because then that would be right. You know what that is? Let's see, status, going back, and this is looking Allison. I couldn't wonder why you were not in my land. And I'm walking on this terrain, an amphibious creature crawling. I'm feeling like you can cry, reptile, crocodile tears. You are looking like a alligator now. You can calculate all the moments in which you can combine, and you can count on me like I got numbers in my face. And what was that other one's name? Oh yeah, the woman of my dreams. It came to pass that I fell asleep one night and I saw her, Richard Halloran said. And the voice inside my head was ever so calmly talking to her. And she was Christine Summerlin. Oh yeah, that name I can never forget. Last name Sutherland, first name Christine, whatever happened to her? Yeah, did you not read my last book? I mean, 1992, she was murdered by her husband, and they never caught the killer. He got away because forensics couldn't uncover the evidence that was properly hidden, because I hide the evidence in every book that I make, and this is an alibi combining the two. Now you see, what was that other one's name? Was she a victim as well? No, victim number 2 was Vicky Solomon. Last name Solomon, first name Vicky, Victoria, Vicky for short. And who was she with? Richard Halloran. That was his ex. Oh yeah. And who else was there? Correction, I forgot. This is a common known error. I'm mixing up my characters now. Christine was Christine Winterfall, not Summerlin. Sarah was Sarah Summerlin. And Vicky Solomon. So there's Vicky Solomon that was murdered in the house on the corner of Witchen Street. And then there's Christine Winterfall that was murdered. And her body was tipped over by the lake. And she's still there by all means. Cops haven't found her body. No one knows that she's there. Concrete shoes in the river won't help her float to the surface. I mean, she's down there in the bottom, and this is into deep under the surface. I'm subliminal, you see. And number 3, Sarah Summerlin. Christine Winterfall, Vicky Solomon, Sarah Summerlin. Summerlin kind of sounds like Solomon, huh? Yeah, doesn't matter to me. And then there's a new character in this mentality of a flow in a story that I'm cultivating by me. This is Scott Core Bryan with the T. And we got Julian and Frank always in the picture, and little MNF waiting to rap. Nyla, this is Sid, and rearranging this is Sid. Last name Sid, first name Nyla, this is Sid. First name Nyla, last name Sid. Then we got Frank, we got Julian, we got little MNF, we got the dark half, we got the light half, we got the old me and the new me. We got a lot of people we can put into the story now, and we got Tune Up to the Beat, and this is Tuna Fish. So I guess there's a fish in this story, and the spider shall be called, let's see, right now I do not know. It doesn't have a name. It is anonymous. It will always forever remain anonymous, yeah. Untitled, forevermore nameless, yeah. Spider, and these are the website I weep. You do not know what I mean. Who do you see right there? That's Vicky Solomon. And who we got right there? That's, oh yeah, I know, hold up, wait, don't tell me now. That's Richard Halloran. And who you got there in the corner reading a book? That's Julian MNF and Tuna. That's 3 people in the corner, yeah. They're trying to figure out something. I mean, they got a group right there, and I guess they are looking like they don't need everybody else that's in the room. I mean, they're not paying attention to Sarah Summerlin and Christine Winterfall. And now, Scott O'Brien with the T. I'm rearranging everything I really think about, and look who walked into the room. Nyla, this is Sid. I'm rearranging that. I know you know I'm here again. They don't invite me to the story, but I still arrive. Kick down the door, and then I walk inside. Going back into the moment, I'm immortalized. Yeah, giving them another vibe. Hold away, you don't belong in here. I'm 2 planets away, and this is going back into the moment now. 2 populace, and this is uncommon for uncommon logic, and this is going back into the moment now. Reincarnated back in the flesh, so I guess I'm back, and this is hard to kill again. I guess you couldn't stop me till you pull in on my heart, and I wish I could give you this, but I had to keep it for myself, and now I give it all away. Just to have a sense that I once had it, and I had to give it now. And now I guess I'm really humble to the fact. And my story going back, and this is Frank on the corner trying to put it all together. Yeah. Alright, we really got this now. This is the second time around now. Story of my life. I wrote the book. I know it's beautiful. Wait, I'm rhyming again. I should stop this. Woke up in a room, took one look around, and there is a tuna fish in a glass jar. And it just popped up into the surface, and it started talking to me. And I guess he doesn't have a name because he said that I can call him anything I want to call him. But for now, I'll call him. This is just another column rearranging this Macaulay looking like I couldn't mock a mockingbird. I know if you repeat this in your mind, that means I make my way inside your head. And if you repeat this, then I guess I'm just repeating it again. If you repeat this, then I guess you're just a dead parakeet. And there's a dead parakeet that fell onto the floor. It was talking a lot, but I shot it down with this revolver. I shouldn't relent when I am pointing it at you. I mean, this bullet come with wings, and it can make you rearrange in this. I'm aiming at your memories now. Okay, now I get the dead bird and I put it in a box. Okay, now that gives essence to the killing what you couldn't talk about. I mean, this is just I know. So there's a spider in the corner of the room, and this is just a story that I made. So this is just the website weeb. And there's an antenna. Wait on me, 2 antennas. Wait, there's an ant with his antennas looking at me, crawling on the room, and it stopped in the middle just to turn his head and look at me. And there's a cricket in the back of my mind, always going back in the sound, and all I hear are crickets when I know who's here with me. And in a cocoon, a caterpillar is formulating a plot, and it is growing, cultivating what it is to be turning into a new revolutionary fly into the wind with a butterfly effect. And this is future coming past, and this is time. So I guess timeless this will be if I make up the story of the mind. So how many insects do we have here? We got 1, 2. Wait, the caterpillar and the butterfly are those 2 separate insects, of course, Julian, of course. Okay, we got a caterpillar and a butterfly. We got an ant. And we got a spider. So that's 4 insects. And 4 insects, for instance, couldn't find the evidence because I had it in like everything I write. And I recorded this live from my room, and this is whatever date you're expecting me to be at a place. And if you have a question of where I was in that date, in that place or time, I mean, I couldn't possibly commit the crime because this is my alibi. Thank me later, Julian Little, MNF. We also have a room inside the mine in which I close the door and lock it, look out the window, then I turn back and then I see.